long walk. I didn't know George very well. I only met him through the Night of the Living Dead. I think the only reason they asked us to be in it is because we lived so close. And if Russ was going to mix up any of his potion, my house would be gone. Thanks for not doing that, Russ.
Thank George.
Thank George, yes. And I want to thank George for this beautiful building that we have behind here. I don't know if anybody saw it before it was refurbished, but it was a mess, wasn't it? And we worked hard to get it to where it is now. And I've told everybody in town, this is where my memorial should be, right here in this little building. But you know, whenever I think of George, on that little paper that thing that they gave us, that little picture on the corner, that's when I met him. And he came up in Devon City the one time after Randy Burr had died. We went to Randy's wife's place, and we sat out in the yard. We had lemonade, and I'm pretty sure she made a cake, because she was a good cake baker. And we just sat and talked, and they filmed us and everything. But what I know I'll remember is seeing George running around with that camera on his shoulder, taking everybody's picture and telling them to slow down, do this, do that. And I'm sure up there in heaven, he still has that camera on his back, on his shoulder, taking everybody's pictures, and maybe we'll see them someday. Thank you.
Who else wants to come? Please. All right, Joe.
I won't take up too much of your time. Meeting George was a life-changing experience for me. I can remember when I went down to Lake Image with a handwritten resume and a snapshot, and with Clayton Hill and Sharon Hill. And George just looked. He looked at us, and I could see the wheels turning in his head. And he says, I'm going to use you in this movie. I'm not going to tell you where yet, but you know, I'm going to use you. And months passed, and I was worried. I said, I'm not going to get called. And then out of the blue, Christine called me. She said, can you be down here tomorrow at the building? And I said, yeah, absolutely. And just being on a set, I couldn't be there every day because I had a record store. But I would be there as much as I could. And just to watch him work was, to me, spectacular. He had such a nice calmness about him, and always seeing the wheels turning in his head as he was directing. It gave me a chance to meet all you wonderful people who are fans, plus all the family of the dead. And to me, George will always have a place in my heart. And I don't think anybody will ever forget him. Let me just make that real short, but we all love you, and we'll always love you.
Ardell, would you like to say a word?
crying already. Everything is so intertwined, and George Romero was intertwined in my life as a young girl, and my father, you know, was Chilly Billy, and I didn't know that I was living in a moment of history at the time, because you're just living your life. And that's what was so great about George, is that it was just simple. He was simply George. And you know, it's like in Pittsburgh, it was chipped ham and the Steelers and you know, Chilly Billy and George Romero and Klondikes, and you know, there are all these things that were iconic, but they were all simple, and they all expressed what Pittsburgh was. And George was Pittsburgh, and my dad was Pittsburgh. And I miss it terribly, and I know how hard it is for so many people. And Suze was a wonderful person in his life. He loved her very much. And I feel for her and her family, and for all those that knew George. I was just very, very lucky to have met George and have him in my life, to be a friend, a mentor, like an uncle. He was a good man. He was simple. He loved. He was loved. He has great kids, Cameron, Tina, and Andrew. And also Chris Romero, his ex-wife. They loved each other for many years. And George was just, you know, a wonderful man. And I can't even believe he's dead, quite honestly. I mean, I was just getting used to my father passing, and now George is gone. But he will live on. George will be here always. And he will live on in screen. You know, every time I watch a movie, an old movie, I like the classics also, the old movies, and I would always say, gone, 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 you know, and point out the people. And it's just amazing that it's one day people will be watching and say, when they point to me, they'll say, gone, you know. This whole idea that the world turns and everything passes and everything is beautiful at the time, and it's hard, and life is so full of joy and pain and suffering and wonderful epiphanies and love and friendship. And I think that's what George brought us all together. You know, it's been crazy. It's like this and that, like any family. And I'm just very fortunate that George was in my life, and look at this. Look at all of you. He loved you very much, and I love George.
Do I have to beg? Somebody. Are we done? Oh, no, okay. Okay. It takes a bit of courage to come up here, because I think, as you can see, everybody that's talked stumbles, and I've never had anything quite like that happen in my life, where I can't explain something, I can't articulate it. So, that,
you know, in the world of actors, writers and directors in the performing arts, there are lots of very highfalutin notions as to what we're about and what it all means, trying to reflect the profundity and complexity of the human condition. And I have worked very, very hard my entire 45-year career as a professional actor. I've been lucky enough that I was actually able to support myself as an actor and didn't have to, wait tables for very long. And along the way, I've played Hamlet, I've played Macbeth, I've played Prospero, I've played some of the great roles of Western literature. I've had a wide and varied film and television career. And as one grows older, I guess and you begin to take stock of your life and your career and your work and try to get a sense of the arc of it, and harmonize the reality of what you've done, what one has achieved, with all of those highfalutin notions of shedding some glimmer of light into, or as Shakespeare said, holding the mirror up to nature. And there's a certain irony that I've always carried with me, that in the final analysis, the very, very, very finest work of my career was playing a zombie in a genre that's known for glorifying and gratuitous violence. And it only just occurred to me a few minutes ago, as I was sitting over there kind of thinking what would I say today to express my gratitude to George. And I suddenly thought of something that I've known for many years, but I never actually put it together, and it's Shakespeare, in his own time, the single most popular play that he wrote was not Hamlet, was not Romeo and Juliet, was not Macbeth, was not The Tempest. It was Titus Andronicus, a play in which there are multiple decapitations